Hey design enthusiasts! Welcome to Next in Line Design, a podcast by the World Design Organization's Young Designers Circle. We're all about embracing a new mindset in design, one that's bold, innovative, and impactful. We're here to connect with the next wave of design talent and explore how you can use your creativity to make a real impact. Get ready for fresh ideas and inspiration from young designers around the world who are reshaping the industry. We're here to spark conversations, inspire change, and explore new ideas in design. But remember, these are just our perspectives on one big, evolving field. Please note that the opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official views of the World Design Organization or its affiliates. Let's dive in and see what's next in line.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Next in Line Design podcast. My name is Verónica Albarrán Carrillo. I am an architect and urban designer from Mexico, and I am currently working as a research associate at Cardiff University. I am also part of the WDO's Young Designer Circle cohort 2023-2025. And today I am beyond excited to be here with you. For those who are new, this podcast is all about creating a platform for young designers to come and share their stories about how they are helping to shape the future. And in today's episode, we will be diving into a topic that's not only timely, but also critical, which relates to material science and sustainability in design. With the climate emergency becoming more urgent every day, it's an area where our creativity can really make a difference. And I am thrilled to share with you our guests today. They are two very young entrepreneurs from opposite sides of the world, and each working with their very specific materials, but both driven by this shared conviction of creating innovative and sustainable design solutions that have a positive impact in our planet. Their journeys are remarkable, and I am sure that you will find their stories as interesting and inspiring as I do. So whether you're a designer, an entrepreneur, or just curious about how sustainability is shaping the future of design, please stick around and let's dive in. Here with us is Shashank Nimkar, founder of Earth Tatva, whose mission is to reduce the need for mining natural resources through creating products based on recycled ceramics from a circular design perspective. And also joining us today is Juan Francisco Garcia Cendejas, COO of E6PR, who's revolutionizing the packaging industry through his eco-friendly molded fiber six-pack rings, designed to help reduce single-use plastics and also reduce the plastics that go into our oceans, ultimately affecting our marine ecosystems. So thank you both for joining us today and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Veronica. So I would really like to start with giving you a space for you to tell us a bit more about your story, but also about the designs that we are going to be talking about today and the products that you have created.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I'm Francisco Garcia. I'm a mechanical engineer. I made my master in automotive engineering. And when I finished my master, I made a switch in the type of work and focus that I was doing. And I switched to sustainable packaging. 15 years ago, we started our first company that produces eco-friendly, sustainable tableware, compostable products. And I'm currently working as COO of another company called E6PR. We started that business 5 years ago, dedicated to the production of compostable can carriers. So if you want to buy a 6-pack or a 4-pack of beers or of beverages at the supermarket, we produce a carrier that is compostable, fiber-based, and that it's designed to hold the cans as plastic, but being compostable. And that's my short intro.
Thank you very much, Francisco. On to you, Shashank.
I'm based in Ahmedabad in India, and I did my master's in industrial design and specializing in ceramic and glass design. That is when the project that we'll be discussing began as my graduation project. which is Earth Tatva, where we recycle the glaze-fired ceramic waste and turn it into a new clay, which reduces mining of natural resources by up to 60%, which can further be recycled endlessly and can be molded into any existing ceramic products.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for your introductions. I think something that like we've been thinking about and identifying from the beginning when we like had these two guests accepting to come into our podcast today is this journey into the design world. And it is that here we have two people that actually didn't have originally a design background. And in that sense, I would really like to start by asking you a little bit more about what is your background and what was this element that made you decide to go into design?
Well, I started as mechanical engineer and with the master in automotive engineering. I was very focused on car designs, suspensions, aerodynamics, very different from what I ended up now doing. And it's funny because I was trained to make cars, but I ended up making tableware or packaging. Very different, but it's amazing how you can use those skills and translate those skills to sustainable packaging. The requirements to convert a plastic product into a sustainable packaging is huge because it's very complex and the customers expect the same performance or better. So I use all what I learned with cars and machines and use those learnings into the design of this packaging, which is a challenge. I will not say that it's more complex than cars, but really sustainable packaging requires to compete versus plastic or aluminum, that it's been there for many, many years, improving a lot. So the challenge on designs, it's huge. So I think that's what was useful for me as a mechanical engineer, and now as a sustainable packaging designer, I use every day those learnings.
Thanks for sharing, Francisco. And what about you, Shashank? What about your background as a digital animator, and how has this transition been like for you in your journey of becoming a young designer?
So, since my early days, I was a maker. I like exploring different materials and making small objects out of them, and that translated into storytelling through animation. And even in animation, of course, along with digital animation, I used to do a lot of stop motion animation where we use different materials, make miniature sets, move these elements frame by frame, and make a short film. And so this tactile experience was something that was driving me. And parallelly, I used to work a lot with paper as an art form and making some models out of it. But I couldn't use any of the products or models that I made with paper because it did not offer so much durability to be able to use it as a daily object. So that was something that kept tinkering in my mind. And then I thought, okay, it's anyways a good time to explore a master's program, and maybe I could learn something new with different material. So that's how I transitioned into ceramics. Because with ceramics, we can make something by ourselves, glaze it and fire it, and it's a ready-to-use product, unlike paper. So that was my main goal to get into the program. And and with ceramics, we could operate at any scale. The principles remain more or less the same. We can operate as an individual studio, or we can operate as a full-fledged industry. If we have the understanding of the material, we can apply it at any level of manufacturing. So that's how it helped me to get into the storytelling zone from animation to industrial design with ceramics.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that like a very interesting topic, or ultimately the core topic of our conversation today, just like arose in both of your narrative, which is ultimately the materials you use for the products you design. And for me, something that was very interesting in having you both here is that another of the commonalities between both of your products is the fact that you are not creating a new product, you are redesigning an existing product, and part of the challenges and innovation in this redesign are embedded in the materials that you use and the processes that ultimately you develop to come with these design solutions. And in that sense, thinking about the redesigning of a product, from every possible product that you could have redesigned with these materials that you have the intent to use, I would really like to know what inspired the both of you to design the specific products that you have designed and that your companies are championing. Like, why this product and not another one?
So in my case, I will need to go into the background of the company. One of the co-founders and partners of the company have the idea of looking for a substitute of the plastic can carrier, the original one. So they went and looked for multiple companies all over the world, China, the US, Europe, India, and all the companies told him that it was not possible. There was no material available or process capable to change the plastic properties from the can carrier into something compostable, until they landed up with us, and I started the project with them. We had the experience on our other company in Teleca that we were approached by a zoo that had problems because kids were able to feed animals with styrofoam cups. So they buy cups with seeds or food and they feed the animals in the zoo. But sometimes the animal not only eat the seeds, also the cup and the styrofoam was creating huge issues on the animals. So we landed up developing a molded fiber. It was a wheat straw cup. That wheat straw cup was able to feed the animals, and if they eat the cup, it was not creating any danger to them. It was even good because it was fiber. And so we started with that material. We have to go through different redesigns of the process, create more strength, because a cup, it's only a cup. It only needs to last a few minutes and without any water or moisture. But our can carrier requires high moisture conditions. The customers will put the cans, the beer, in the freezer, in the cooler, in the water, and they need to hold perfectly the cans. If we lose a can, the can will drop to the floor and it will explode. So we adapted that process with the zoo and with the animals and improved the performance and the strength of the material. And we ended up with a design that was working at the beginning good, not as now, but it was working good. We have been doing redesigns in the past years. We are now in the design number 6. Each design it's being improved in performance, in speed for customers that need higher speeds. But we started from there, and it was funny because we used all those learnings from the zoo and that customer and adapted the process to this product.
Because your material is compostable, by any chance in future, perhaps, if there is some third-party company maybe who is able to collect all these can holders and give it back to you, would you be able to reuse them in your process?
Yeah, so currently we can use our scrap. If we have a batch of production that is not in the quality that we need, we can repulp those products. We destroy them with water, like a big blender. So we can repulp them and reuse the product. So we reuse always the scrap. If we are able to recover the rings from customers, we can reuse them in the process, repulp them, and make new ones. But for example, we produce them in Mexico and we ship them to the US or to Canada. To bring them back, it's going to be hard in terms of carbon footprint because it's complicated. what it's useful is to see the compostable facilities in different cities that it's growing and it's getting more and more popular. And it's a business model that it's evolving, and it's going to help a lot this type of products to be composted in different facilities and in local facilities close to the end customer. But still, we are able to use those rings. Our vision for maybe the next 5 to 10 years is to build more facilities close to different countries and different customers. So we are able to recover byproducts. We are able to source new raw materials from local production sites. For example, if we build a facility in Florida with a lot of sugar cane, we are able to use those sugar canes from Florida and make products from different raw materials depending on the facilities and on the countries that we are doing the production.
That's great. And also, would you be able to make this material into a sheet which then someone else can use it for maybe making something else?
I'm not sure. It might be possible, but still, it's a challenge. So once you try the product and you press it, we use heat and high pressure and a big vacuum pump to take out all the water from the pulp. It's almost finished. When you dry it, it's very hard to destroy it because the product was developed to avoid any destruction with water and moisture. So at this point, I don't see something that we can use like that, but maybe in the near future, someone else will have a great idea with process similar like this.
Yeah, maybe a young wood. I was going to say maybe a young designer will come and say, "Oh, I actually think we can be using this material for that."
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Maybe for some other kind of making furnitures or something like that, or making prototypes and models out of it. If it could be used for laser cutting or just saw cutting like wood.
Yeah, we have received very interesting requests, multiple in these years. I have one in mind. It was not possible, but it's interesting to hear these ideas from different people. So we received a request from it was like a military office in a country. They require to make compostable boats. These boats, they have currently some boats. They are dropped in parachute, and they have a small boat that they build when they land. So once they land, they start using the boat, and they arrive to their end destination in the ocean, and they leave the boat there. So it's a lot of pollution. So they wanted a compostable boat, so when they arrive, they can leave it there and they won't harm the ocean or the planet. And with ideas like this, we have received multiple requests. Very interesting. There are a lot of products that currently are polluting a lot to the planet, and those products are waiting for innovators to bring and come with new ideas and new materials to be able to change them.
Yeah, maybe the next thing we will see from E6PR rings is like a design sprint on most innovative ways to use our materials.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
so your material is backyard biodegradable or industrially compostable?
Both. It's also marine biodegradable. It doesn't require soil. It can go into the ocean. So when we produce our product, our main objective was to be marine biodegradable, because that's where the big problem on plastic gets to the ocean, because we have a lot of animals eating plastic or getting trapped on plastic. There is I think we as humans eat one credit card a year of plastic when we eat seafood or other type of meats, and that's the quantity of plastic that is going to the ocean and coming back to us. So when we developed the product, our main objective was to make it compatible with the ocean. And if you throw it to the ocean, we wanted to destroy almost immediately. But it's not possible because we also want that the product holds the cans in moisture conditions. So we developed a balance. It's not immediately biodegradable, but it's fast enough so it will break after a few months automatically in the ocean. And that's I will say the three main targets: industrial compostable, home compostable, and marine biodegradable, which is the hardest one.
Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. I had not heard the story about the zoo. Yeah, I think like that definitely an issue in terms of sometimes we see like experiences or activities or processes as sustainable or as not damaging, but it takes us, I guess, to step back and actually analyze like a whole event, a whole issue, and see where we can actually like find things to make better. How about you, Shashank? How did it came to be the products that you are designing for Earth Tatva?
So we have started with making tableware, food safe tableware using recycled ceramics. Because in ceramic industry, perhaps tableware is one of the few products that the end users choose to buy themselves. And for me as a student, it was challenging to make any other product because if we make sanitary ware, it would need a very complex mold and casting process. For tiles, you again in the industry, it's so advanced already. How much? It was really challenging to begin with something in a new material. And if we go with any other products, perhaps for decorations, there are a lot of people in the sales channel who might influence the decision making of the end users or the buyers. But tableware is something that if somebody wants to use a tableware, they would just pick it up from the shelf, buy it from the website by themselves. So we wanted to be able to connect to the users directly by ourselves by communicating the importance of recycling ceramics, the impact of ceramics being just dumped everywhere outside the factories and post-consumer waste as well. So that was the best reason for which we wanted to make tableware. And of course, it was manageable for us to make it. Second is that whenever we make any kind of recycled product, the most challenging part is to make it food safe. So even with plastics, perhaps I've heard that we can't use more than 30% of recycled content if we want to keep it food grade. And because we started with designing the material first, we were, in fact, our first prototype was made using 70% recycled content. We then brought it down to 60% to optimize for large scale production. And even with that high recycled content, we wanted to show that we can still make food safe products. And that's why I think tableware was the most obvious choice for us to go ahead with.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I just really like how it's like how these stories can really like showcase this narrative of clearly identifying an issue and working through it through like different design perspectives and creativity. And yeah, it just really seems like the solutions you came up with, specifically through the materials that you used, are deeply interconnected with the type of like problems that you were trying to solve in like your specific realms. And I think something that like pops up already in the conversation is the fact that you are both designing with objects that at least partially are using industry-wide products. So they come with additional challenges and like working with other types of raw materials. So Francisco, you talked a little bit about the challenges with the moisture. And Shashank, you talk a little bit more about like the percentages of recycled material that you are actually able to use into your designs. So could you share more about these challenges that you have encountered but also about the creative strategies in which you have overcome those obstacles in developing your own designs?
Yes. So in our case, we were not creating something new. So we were taking ideas and technologies already used for many years. Our process is an evolution from the egg cartons. If you go to the supermarket and you buy 12 eggs, you will have a molded fiber product. It's molded fiber, the process used to make them. But you will see that those egg cartons are very rough. The quality and the finish is not very smooth because it's an old process being used for many, many years. Many years ago, then plastic started to develop, and then it transitioned into plastic egg containers. For many years, it was very popular until plastic bans and legislation were prohibiting those ones. And then the process came back, and it's very popular again. So we adapted that process into a process that it's with a better smoothness, a better quality finish, because our customers, the brewers or the companies that are putting different drinks in the cans, they are looking not only for a compostable product, but also a product that looks nice. Plastic, it's already developed and it can look nice with multiple colors. So what we did is transition the egg carton process into a high pressure process, more resistance to moisture and water through different pressures and processes that we use. And we were able to evolve into a product that can hold the cans perfectly. We don't use colors because we like the brown finish of our byproducts. So we use byproducts for many industries. We use them as raw materials and we compress them. And the color is brown. It's the natural color of those byproducts. And we like that because also communicates better to the end customer. When he's on the supermarket looking for a six-pack, it's really clear that this product is sustainable. But we were able to transition that process to make it look nicer, to hold as required and perform as customers need the cans. And it's how we evolved that process and how we ended up with this product.
One is what kind of requirements your clients have in terms of personalizing the aesthetics of your product for their brand.
The aesthetics? What do you mean about aesthetics?
The visuals of it. So a lot of times I see that brands definitely want the packaging to represent their branding. So what kind of requirements your clients have, and how do you cater them?
Yeah, and it's funny because we hear from some customers they are currently buying a yellow plastic can carrier, and then they want our product but in yellow. And for us to use color, it's difficult. We are able to do it, but then all our production line is contaminated with yellow, and we need to clean everything to switch to another color. So it's a mess. So what we are doing is developing printing options. We can use tampo printing, or now digital printing. It's evolving amazingly. You can see now digital printers to print whatever you want, low cost, high speeds. It's incredible. So we are also exploring those options. At this point, we do some printings, and we can print the logo from customers, and they are happy with that. The important part is to don't cover the cans, because they also invest a lot of their design time in the cans. So our design is very slim, so we don't cover a lot of the can, and they are able to keep showing their cans. In contrary to the carton boxes that you cover all the cans, and then you have to work in the design of the carton box to be able to show the same idea of the same company brand. But still, it's hard because they want to be sustainable, but they want a plastic look. So they also need to compromise some of that, and it's hard. It's going to be hard always.
Yeah, I think that's very nice. Yeah, definitely like that part of the transparency of the product. The product is what it is. You're not trying to make it look something different, and like the material it's made of, its core to the own value of the product. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. How about you, Shashank?
So we primarily work with clay as our natural binder for the recycled ceramics, and so clay is, because it's such a natural material. The properties keep changing from every batch that we procure. Not just batch, but if we procure it from different parts of the same mine as well. So it becomes very tricky to work with these fresh natural resources. Now, this took us many years to just figure out the right composition, because we were not able to understand if the process is something that we need to change, or is it the material composition that we need to change, because everything has its own impact on the final outcome. So that was a very tricky part. And second, in a conventional ceramic manufacturing as well, they have around 6 to 7 different ingredients that are put into it, and to create a clay body. That's what it is called, the composition. And then it is molded into different products through different processes. Now the minerals are the most notorious ones, because they have a tendency to give different effects at different conditions. So even if the temperature changes, or maybe it dries quickly, or a lot of different things, it reacts differently with glazes. So that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to eliminate the use of minerals completely as much as possible. Because clays are pretty much stable, when minerals are not so consistent in terms of its outcome. So this is what we have been trying to do. So far, it's working out well for us.
Shashank, I have a question. How long did it took you to study the and understand if what you needed to change was the process of how you were building a material, or the composition of the material? Like, how long does that research and development stage took for your product?
The first phase was around 9 to 10 months, but so that was during my student project, and then we started our commercial operations. We faced a lot of challenges after that, which I didn't face as a student, and that took us more than 1.5 years to just figure out the changes in the process.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's shorter than I would have expected, but that's probably because I'm in another industry where the research takes way longer. How about you, Francisco? Like, how long did I guess for both of your companies, this research and development is like constant, but specifically for the development of the can holder, how long did it take?
So we developed the first prototypes. We made a very nice video that it's available on the internet. If you look our company, you will see the video in YouTube. And when the video was public, it went viral. And we received hundreds and hundreds of emails and contacts from brewers, from very small brewers to very big ones, the big ones, Heineken, Savenbev, Molson Coors, reaching out, begging to have some samples and starting to try the product. At that point, we only have prototypes. We don't have any process ready to scale, any production tools, only a few prototypes. So it took us around 1 year to not only to validate the prototypes and to end up with the perfect design, and also to build production tools, to prepare machine, to be ready to have enough stable production to start selling it with customers. We went out with the first customer in the US by January 2018, and that was after all this long process of 12 months to being able to show this to the world. Because one part is having a prototype and making a video, and then proving to real customers that you are able to make this into the hundreds or into the millions of pieces per month, and into a sustainable, scalable process. If a big customer like InBev, Heineken's approach us. They were not only requesting samples, but also looking into our process to see if they can trust our product in the coming months, because they don't want to risk their brands into a product that after a few months was not working, or our machines were not stable and we don't have enough stock for them. So it was a challenge to arrive there. And still by January 2018, we have the first customers, but we were not able to start delivering to big customers, because that also required from us application machines. Small customers can clip their cans into our product manually, but big customers with high-speed machines require application machines that we also sell to our customers. So we are, after a few months after that, we were able to sell those machines to customers canning into 60 cans per minute, 100, 180 cans per minute. And now we have machines able to work up to 1,200 cans per minute, which is very fast and requires to improve our process and our tolerance to be stable on their production lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely interesting, because I'm assuming plastic has a lot of elasticity. So like the way in which they attach them might be very different to the way in which you attach this new project. And I think this just showcases how coming up with a product is not only coming up with the product itself, but with the whole infrastructure that helps you integrate that product into chain supplies. Which, definitely, I think sometimes we look at the product, but we don't really, or it's hard for people as the final consumers to realize everything that goes into redesigning something that we see every day, right? As a ceramic, as a 6-pack ring. And I would like to move to this topic that you've been flagging a lot, which is ultimately thinking about how to deliver sustainable solutions through design. And in that sense, I would like for you to share with us what have been some of the most important lessons that you have learned on your journey towards how to integrate sustainability into the design processes.
Yes, I think sustainable, it's still perceived as a premium. And unfortunately, in a lot of products, you have to pay more versus a plastic product. And because they are paying a premium, they expect the product to perform better. If our brewers are paying more versus the plastic can carriers, they like that the products are compostable and sustainable, but they also expect the product to perform as plastic. And I think that's a huge challenge, not only on our can carriers, but also in other products. You can see that in tableware, in coffee capsules, multiple products that you are able to see now in innovation for packaging. So that's a challenge. So you are developing a sustainable product, but you also need to have something that performs at least as plastic or as aluminum. And that's been a challenge. Also, some customers, and we have heard from them, they told us, oh, it looks very nice. But I also expect to work as plastic. I don't need, and I don't want to compromise anything in my process. I don't want more people in my production line doing the packaging. I want to have what I have now on plastic, but with your product. That's a challenge, because they need to change their setup. And us, we need to develop products that are also behaving as they expect. So that's always a challenge, not only in the can carriers, but in multiple sustainable products.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key elements that comes with entering into redesigning an existing object of everyday life. Then maybe when you come up with a new object, in which case it doesn't have any point of comparison, so the expectations are not as high. as with a product that already exists, especially with all the advantages of a material like plastic, which like ultimately comes with a lot of ecological disadvantages. Thank you very much for sharing, Francisco. How about you, Shashank? What do you think are some of the most important lessons that you have learned in this journey towards sustainable product design?
So one is that of course, while working with materials, we make sure that we're using all the materials that are only related to ceramics, and we don't fuse any other materials, because we can of course mix a lot of different materials and create something new. But the point for us as designers and makers to think about is that what happens in the afterlife of these products, because ceramics cannot biodegrade. So how do we really make sure that it doesn't end up in landfill again? And that's why what we have been trying to do, and we are doing, is that we're using clay itself as a natural binder for the ceramic waste, because clay after firing will naturally in its own life cycle turn into ceramics. So we are essentially working with a monomaterial or a single material that helps us to keep recycling it further, virtually endlessly. And so for most materials, we have to first segregate them based on the material type as well as the color, and only then further recycle. Otherwise, everything will turn to a dark brown or black color, which has a very low commercial value, and perhaps it also has a very low technical specification, which can then be used for multiple applications, because we need to keep the materials at its highest properties. And that's why for us, fortunately, we don't have to scrape off the glaze, which is almost practically impossible. So we use all the recycled content, including the glaze content of the waste products. And that actually enhances our process and the finished product, because the glaze is essentially a glass material. And as we know, it requires almost 50% less energy to recycle glass than we require to make it from fresh silica. So that's how when we make our recycled ceramic material, it gets the glass or the glaze gets fused internally in its structure, so it gives better strength and at a lower temperature. So that is what we have been trying to emphasize on. And on that, we apply any fresh glaze, which makes the products food safe.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I think there's definitely this stigma that needs to be worked on, or needs to be sort of disbanded on what we can expect from a new product using raw materials, and a new product using byproduct elements from the industry. And I think something that came up and has also been coming up here and there in the conversation is this sort, not only the challenges of the product or of developing the product itself, but also the resistance that we might encounter when delivering these products, whether it's resistance for consumers, whether it's the industry, and I guess a core part of it is creating awareness. But in that sense, I would like to know if there are any other specific ways in which your companies have been trying to overcome this resistance that you can find from different stakeholders to embed or to accept the product and just to integrate it to society, because ultimately, I guess, as designers, I always say this whenever I'm delivering a lecture, that, whether when we design, we optimize, we innovate, we, problem solve, etc. But ultimately, if the stakeholders do not accept it, then you can have the best design solution in the world, but what's its worth if it is not accepted and used? So in that sense, just throwing the question out there, what have been? Do you have any lesson of from your products and from your experience of how to overcome this resistance from the different stakeholders?
I think in our case, we are experiencing two main things. Government laws and plastic bans are getting more and more popular. In our case, for example, in Canada, a few years ago, the government developed a law that banned plastic can carriers, which was huge for us because that increased a lot our sales in that country. We have seen that in multiple countries, and that it's also helping. Even if the end customers, the brewers, don't want to pay more, they are obligated to buy this type of solutions. And the other one, it's the customers start buying this, and you go to the supermarket and you start to see this type of solutions in the shelf. We started working with Diageo, and they use our can carriers with Smirnoff, Crown Royal, Captain Morgan. And when you go to the supermarket now, you see a lot of their products with our can carriers. And we immediately start receiving calls from other companies in different industries also wanting this product because they already see this in the supermarket. They see that a big company like Diageo is using it. And if that big company is trusting to our product, they are also able to do it.
Oh, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I guess when you have something like policy helping push the sector in which you are developing, and then there's like an interesting opening, like sort of like a momentum that you can like take advantage of to place like these design solutions and make them available to a larger segment of the population. How about you, Shashank? Like, what are these resistances that you have found, and how to overcome them?
So first is we have tried to reach out to the audience who is already aligned with the idea of using alternate materials because it's easier for them to adapt, and also a lot of users who are avid users of ceramics. They have experienced it themselves that when something breaks, nobody accepts them for recycling. In India, at least, it's newspaper, glass, metal, all plastic, of course. All these materials are easily accepted, and you get a good value for it if you give it for recycling. But nobody accepts ceramics. So they understand the value of it, and they don't have a choice but give it away, and it potentially goes to landfill. And second is to maintain transparency in all our communication. So even if we don't hold a third-party certification that actually certifies that we are using so much of recycled content, there is a really high level of trust among the audiences about us, even if they're not our customers, but they realize the authenticity of the process and the intent of it. And that comes through having a genuine conversation with them, whether it's at a forum or maybe at an event, or even if they are visiting the city. Most consumers are not aware about what goes into making something with ceramics. And that is something really fascinating. And when they learn something new, it's a new experience for them. I think it really builds and creates a bond with them.
Yeah, I think something very like key to all these changes is just like the transparency, right? Like being able to show very, very transparently to potential end users how your product's made, what value like clearly it is adding. And yeah, I guess ultimately this like mind shift. And I think we are at a very exciting moment in time where we've come from, you know, this industrialization and mass production, etc., to without questioning what the potential outcomes or like casualties of that might be, to younger generations whom once they know what's behind the product, not only the work, but the value, like they will, if possible, pay more for a product that is better aligned with their own values than the cheapest product. And I think that's just like a very excited moment to live in, that moment where once we have the knowledge, we voluntarily want to take better decisions. So to say thank you both for sharing that. Definitely two different perspectives, one from the consumer, another from policy. I would like to have this closing question, which is, as you think about the future of your designs, what is the ultimate vision for sustainability that you see in your respective industries? And how do you see the work that you are doing right now contributing to that vision?
I think it needs to be a combined effort, not only from E6PR, but we also need help from other companies that they need to develop similar products, maybe other materials, other ideas, but the quantities that the complete world needs of packaging, it's huge. The forecast that we see from now to 2030, it's a big increase into this sustainability, and numbers will keep growing in terms of quantities required from these type of solutions. So it needs to be a combined effort from everybody, and that's our vision. We are doing as much as we can on our front, but also it's good to see these new products in the shelf, because then other companies start working into this type of solution that helps.
Yeah, that's definitely very inspiring, Francisco. Like, you have developed a solution, but you actually would like to see the whole industry moving forward, delivering similar solutions, because I think it's not about a single player, but about our capacity as a society to move forward with these solutions. How about you, Shashank? How do you envision the future of sustainability in your industry?
We want to see it as this material being a new normal for manufacturing in any kind of product. So for us, the challenge is how do we optimize the composition so that it can be used to manufacture all the existing products, because every product has its own different process and its own technical performance parameters that it needs to cross. So this is something that we take as a challenge. And of course, there are so many stakeholders who are supporting us, whether it's the first users who help us to really test the material in their ecosystem or their infrastructure, or even the end consumers. Because how I see it is that if the end consumers would demand that we want these products made out of this material, then the industry would definitely take a shift towards it.
Great. Thank you very much. And just for everyone who's listening, both Shashank and Francisco, in their own respective industries, they are actually moving forward with research and development of other materials, not only the products and the designs that they have showcased with us today, but actually how to translate that knowledge into other solutions. Which shows just like the innovative capacity of design to just transfer solutions. And before wrapping up, I would just like to ask the final question. As you know, this podcast is made for young designers, by young designers, and I guess for those young designers looking to create more sustainable solutions, what advice would you offer based on your own experiences about this just journey into sustainability?
I think innovation requires to take a risk, and if it was not yet developed, that product that you want to create, maybe it's because some other companies or some other people have decided that it was not possible, but that doesn't mean that it won't be possible, never. So I think you have to take the risk. When we develop our product, we started in a very low budget mode. We use a kitchen blender, an electric oven from my home. We modified them to be able to use them and to start doing the first prototypes. And innovation don't requires money, don't requires big companies, requires people that takes the risk and has creativity to think outside of the box.
Thank you for that, Francisco. Very inspiring. So now we know how you use that engineering knowledge into the creation of your product, from the very first designs, changing the way in which your electric appliances worked, into developing what is now like a very replicable, sustainable solution for echoing. Thank you for that. How about you, Shashank? Any words of advice?
So, as we know, the journey of innovating something is definitely much longer than we would expect it to be. And for that, if anyone wants to go ahead with this journey, we need to choose any topic or subject that we are really interested in, that drives us. Because if the productivity that we bring in the innovation journey is something that is going to drive us. If we are looking for any kind of other external benefits, then perhaps we might give up on the way before we reach our destination. But then if we are driven internally, we are really passionate about the subject, what we are working towards, then I think the journey becomes more enjoyable.
Oh, thank you for that, Shashank. And I think you're definitely right. I can't tell I have ever met someone who's somehow related to the design industry who's not absolutely passionate about what they do. I think in a way it relates to what Francisco says, like living away the fear of failure and just trying, and ultimately that passion is what brings you forward into these like great moments of breakthrough, of coming with like better solutions, better designs. Thank you very much to both of you for sharing all this with us. We hope that you've loved meeting Juan and Shashank. Please check out what they are doing. Please follow them. They have amazing journeys, and the best, I'm sure, it's yet to come. A big thanks to both of our guests for coming and sharing their invaluable experiences, and we will see you in next episode.
Next in Line Design is a podcast for designers by young designers. We hope that you really enjoyed today's episode. We've got some really exciting conversations coming up that we can't wait to share with you. Every episode, you're going to have the chance to meet a new member of the YDC. So enjoy our rotating cast of designers, and feel free to reach out in the comments just to say hey, maybe to share some feedback, your story, or tell us more about the kind of conversations that you'd like to be hearing. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe to the WDO's channels and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you back here soon with more of Next in Line Design.